Good afternoon and welcome back. A few reminders before we start. Please remember to silence all your devices. Please also download the AWS Global Summit event app, where you can share your feedback with us after every session. You can also redeem an AWS branded swag after the completion of your survey. All AWS sessions you see today are being recorded and available after the session via content devices on exit. Now, please welcome to the stage Julian Lau from AWS, who will present on Become Migration Ready. Accelerate and optimize your cloud adoption with government hybrid cloud architecture. Julian, please.
Thank you. So how many of you are already using the Amazon Web Services to run any kinds of workloads? Some people. Our team is actually helping different customers to do the cloud adoption. Government is actually one of the key customers that we need to focus on. And you know what? Our experience to help them to go through the cloud adoption journey, we realized that most of them, they will not just running everything into the cloud or everything only on premises. The trend here is that they would use both the on-premises as well as the cloud services. And the way they do that is actually setting up a hybrid cloud architecture. So today I would like to walk you through how this kind of architecture you are able to deploy in your organization and how to accelerate the cloud adoptions. So cloud adoption in the region, you will be very surprised. A lot of government already come up the policy to say that they need to consider cloud first whenever they have an application wanted to roll out to the general public. And you can see that a lot of different countries, including Philippines, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, India, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, UK, and also Singapore government, they already come up a cloud first policy. So you can imagine the cloud is not a future trend. It's actually a reality. A lot of people doing the cloud adoption already. So when people think about the cloud adoption, they always come up a mindset, which is all or nothing. So what is meant by that? Oh, either they would do everything on the cloud, or no, I don't want to use cloud. I want everything only stored in my data center. But in reality, it's not an all or nothing choice. Basically, it's a journey for the governments. Because when the government operate IT infrastructure, they will have a lot of different concerns, different constraints. For example, security, governance, etc., etc. And then for the cloud adoption, majority of them, they will choose an architecture pattern, which is what we call the government hybrid cloud architecture, which is you're still running something in your on-premises data center. And then on the other hand, you will best leverage some of the capabilities provided by the cloud services provider, like the Amazon Web Services. Why would the government need a hybrid cloud? So this is a really FAQ for our customer. Whenever we talk to them, they always come up with a question. Why they need a hybrid cloud? What kind of benefits they are able to get from the hybrid cloud architecture? Number one, governance. Basically, when you deploy a hybrid cloud architecture, you will have a lot of challenge in the beginning if you don't do it well. Let's say, for example, how am I able to ensure the governance on both sides, which is your on-premises as well as on the cloud? How you are also ensure the security policy is able to apply on both sides. So when you implement the cloud architecture, you want to enjoy the benefits from the cloud services provider. You need to ask yourself the governance, how you are able to do that. And you need to pick a cloud services provider with the necessary features to help you to do this kind of job more easily. Speed and agility. One of the key benefits for the cloud provided to the customer is in terms of the fast time to market. A lot of government wanted to do a lot more innovative stuff with the general public. Let's say, for example, I may come up a new idea for the citizens here in Singapore. In the past, from the initial beginning, you come up an idea, till the end, you are able to roll out the whole application. You may take 18 to 24 months. But with the hybrid cloud architecture, because you already link up two data centers, some of the existing data may be persist in your existing data center, and then you leverage some of the key benefits on the public cloud. You are able to quickly compress the time required to roll out the application, maybe down to 6 to 12 months. So this is another reason why the government would like to leverage the hybrid cloud to run the applications. Security. Security is a concern, but that is also the reason why people would like to adopt the cloud infrastructure as part of their architecture. Why? Because the cloud services provider, when we develop the infrastructure or develop the services, we already have a lot of out-of-the-box services on security. DDoS protection, for example. If you run something on premises, if you want to do the DDoS protection, it's a bit effort for you to do that. But for cloud, we have a lot of services. You just turn it on. Then you will have the out-of-the-box DDoS protection for your infrastructure. Especially for the government, you may run some very sensitive workloads and then facing the general public. The security is really, really important to you. And then you are able to leverage this kind of hybrid architecture with the out-of-the-box security features provided by Amazon Web Services to protect your applications. Lower total cost of ownership. So I still not mention why you need to maintain part of your infrastructure on premises still. That may be because of your security requirement, government policy, maybe like, for example, the top secret types of workloads for the government needs to stay on premises. But at the same time, you are able to extend your network to the cloud. And then after you extend to the cloud, you are able to enjoy another good benefit here, which is the lower total cost of ownership. Because we are the consumption model, we also have a lot of different good features, auto scaling, for example, to help you to save the money, save the overall total cost of ownerships. Now, let's talk about the hybrid cloud architecture. This is a bit technical here. So what people would do is you run something on premises, you run something into the cloud. But then the most important thing is after you link up two data centers together, how you are able to manage the infrastructure on both sides at the same time. This is the most important topics that we need to discuss today. From a technology point of view, we have the services offered to the customer to link up two infrastructure together. We have a services called Direct Connect, which is we allow to establish a lease line from your data center, from the government data center to our data center. Then from the networking perspective, together with the virtual private cloud VPC feature provided by us, you are able to see two infrastructure as one single network. Then from the access point of view, the whole experience from your end user, they will not notice whether that is on the cloud or on premises. But with this kind of hybrid architecture, the link up is easy. But at the end of the day, how you are able to manage two infrastructure together more efficiently, effectively, is actually through some middleware to manage that. So what is the proposed architecture here? So first of all, you will have a whole bunch of workloads, existing workloads running inside your existing data center. But then at the same time, you will start to launch the workloads into AWS. Remember, I told you, you are able to establish the connectivity from your on-premises data center to the cloud with the Direct Connect. And some people may ask, oh, if that is a single link, If that is a single link, that will be very dangerous, right? If someone cut the link, then you lose the capability on this kind of hybrid architecture providing to you. So when people establish the hybrid architecture, they will also think of the redundancy. The direct connect services also allow you to have multiple connections with multiple POP. And then you establish the connection through different POPs, different lines, such a way that you are able to remove the single point of failures. This is more on the physical architecture from the technical point of view. But at the end of the day, if you are the government, what is the most important thing you need to make the decision here after you establish the architecture? You need to make the decision which types of workloads you want to run on-premises data center still, and which type of workloads you wanted to move to the cloud and started to enjoy the benefits that the cloud services provider providing to you. So normally, our experience when we deal with the governments in the region and worldwide, they were based on the data classification, in which, for example, the restricted or unclassified workload, you will put it into the cloud. The top secret, confidential, you may still put it inside your existing data center. But to be honest, the reason why you don't put top secret or confidential to the cloud is not because of the security reason. Again, our infrastructure have a lot of compliance certification showing that our security is really secure. And also at the same time, inside our architecture infrastructure, we also provide a lot of different out-of-the-box security. I can say that majority of time, our security is way better than any on-premises data center. But the reason why some of the governments still wanted to put some more classified workloads into the on-premises data center is really because of the policy. Or even more extreme is that some of the application that needs to be run completely isolated. Then in those cases, they will prefer to put the workloads back into the on-premises data center rather than moving it to the cloud and completely enjoy the benefits on the cloud. Now, again, for the connectivity option, we actually have multiple options here. Not only the direct connect, but also, depending on your situation, you may select the VPN to do that. The good thing here is to establish a VPN connection is way more simple than establish a direct connect connection. But as you all know, if you establish a VPN connection, you may not enjoy the benefit running a lease line, which is a dedicated, completely isolated option for the connectivity. Some of the customers in the region, when we talk to them, when they try to do a pilot on the hybrid cloud architecture, in the beginning, they would rather to use the VPN services instead of using the direct connect, because that is more easy to start with, more simple to set up. And then after they've gone through the POC stage, they can quickly establish the direct connect connection and then make a physical integration between two data centers. Don't think of this hybrid architecture, you only access the connectivity either through the VPN or the direct connect. Some of the situation when you run an application, our experience is that the application may split into the intranet part and also the internet part. For example, you are setting up the tax return application. On one hand, you need to provide the internet-facing part to allow the citizens to submit the tax return data going through the public internet. But at the same time, you may have an intranet portion, such a way that after the citizens submit the data, the officer, the government official, are able to access those data through the internal intranet. Then this kind of hybrid architecture, for sure, the intranet part, you are able to access through the VPN or direct connect. But at the same time, you are also able to expose your application on the internet front-end facing part to the internet, to the public internet. And that is exactly the benefits running on the cloud, because we provide both options to you through the public internet as well as the private intranet using our virtual private cloud. So what is virtual private cloud? It's actually a software-defined network. You are able to, based on your configuration, and then come up with the network configuration. And this is completely isolated from other people. So first of all, you own a private and isolated section of the AWS cloud, and also control all internal and external connectivity. That is the reason we call it virtual private cloud. And we will also able, on the other hand, from our side, when we manage the VPC on behalf of you, we will also help you to prevent any spoofing and any other common layer 2 attacks, because basically some majority of the layer 2 traffic has been blocked inside the VPC. You cannot do a MAC address spoofing inside the VPC. That is again, this is some of the out-of-the-box security features that we are able to provide to you when you use the cloud services. Now, let's talk about different kind of scenario of the government hybrid cloud architecture. I already shared with you the technical capability in terms of linking up two data centers together, what is the benefits altogether. But then at the end of the day, from our experience, when we talk to different governments in the region, we realize that they will choose different options to operate this kind of government hybrid cloud architecture. So first of all, for the first scenario, some of the government may want to enjoy the benefit of the cloud, but they worry about the data is not secure if they store on the cloud services provider. They also worry about the data availability when storing the data in another jurisdiction. As you all know, when we deploy our data center, we always group those data centers into what we call the region. In Asia Pacific, we actually have the region in Singapore, Japan, Korea, Australia, China. These are some of the regions that we have already deployed to the market. However, in the region, we also have a lot of different countries that wanted to use the cloud services, but we don't have the in-country region provided to them. Then when we talk to them about using the cloud services, this is a very natural scenario. They will come up and ask about what's the data security, what happens if the data is not stored inside the country. Very simple. The hybrid architecture is actually able to solve this problem. So basically, you are able to run everything onto the AWS cloud. You are able to do that. But then, number one, how am I able to make sure the data is secure? Very simple. We have the option for you to encrypt the data in short period of time. We have something what we call the checkbox type of encryption. We have different type of storage. For example, one type of storage is what we call the elastic block storage, EBS. Or if you store the data inside the database, we have a managed database services called RDS. Then with all these different kind of options, you're always able to go to our management console saying that I want to encrypt the data. You check a checkbox, then everything running on our platform is actually encrypted. And we solve the first problem. That is, even though your data is not inside your data center, even though the data is not inside the country, no one are able to see it. Even that is the staff from Amazon Web Services. But if you are coming from the security background, you may challenge me, oh, the encryption happened on your side. You may have the encryption or decryption key that are able to decrypt my data, right? So that's why we also have some other services to help you to do the key management services. So first of all, from our control perspective, there's no access from anyone from Amazon Web Services are able to access your encryption decryption key. Second of all, if you're using the HSM services provided from us, we have a services called Cloud HSM, which is a FIPS 140-2 Level 3 certified hardware security modules. And you're allowed to store your encryption key inside this Cloud HSM. From our perspective, we are only able to see the physical box. We are not able to access any encryption key inside this device. And only you, as the customer, the governments, are able to use the key to encrypt or decrypt the data. So again, from this point of view, you are actually secure your data and no one are able to access the data anymore except yourself. Then the next question is, what happens if someone cut the internet line? Think about the government concept. When they access the security, they are not just access the security from some standard perspective, right? They may think of national security. What happens if I'm using Singapore region? If someone cut my internet line from my country to Singapore, what happens? I am no longer able to access the data anymore, right? This is a really a big threat to the national security if the data is very important. So again, this is a very simple solution here from the technology point of view. You just need to replicate one copy of data back to your on-premises data center through the connectivity option I have mentioned earlier. Then no matter who, either from Amazon Web Services or some other people, they really cut the line, shut down the services or whatever. You are always able to get back your data. And also, you are able to quickly resume your services by relaunching the application with the existing backup data. So what is mean by that? You are actually treating your on-premises data center as a DR site. But of course, this kind of implementation is actually really low cost because you only store the data. And then you only need to restore the services if that is a really extreme situation in terms of someone cutting the internet line or someone shut down the services, which is the chances that this kind of thing happen is always minimum. Now, let's move on to second scenario that when we talk to the government customer, they always come up this kind of things, which is, as you may know, majority of the customer in the region for the government, they always maintain their on-premises infrastructure with some kind of virtualization. And most of them, after we talk to them, we realize that they would use the VMware to manage the infrastructure as the virtualization platform. Then think about, remember in the few previous slides, I mentioned the hybrid architecture. The link up the connectivity is easy to do so. But then at the end of the day, how you are able to come up a services or so-called a middleware that are able to help you to manage the infrastructure on both sides. One side on the Amazon Web Services, and then another side is actually your own on-premises data center. On top of that, when you using the middleware, how am I able to minimize the change moving to the cloud? Because you know, application migration, the effort required may be quite a lot, right? From the government perspective, if you ask them to do the cloud adoption and need to spend a lot of effort to change the application or modify the code to adopt the cloud infrastructure, that will take time to do so. And some of the customer also wants to have the flexibility to move the workloads back and forth on the Amazon Web Services and also the on-premises architecture based on different data classification. Remember, I showed you the slides. Majority of the customer, after they set up the hybrid architecture, they will make the decision. Some of the classification of data or application will reside on premises. and then some other classification of data or workloads will run on the cloud. They also require to have a software to help you to quickly able to move the workloads across two premises, or you are able to quickly make the decision how the application deployment to both premises with one single software. The answer is VMware Cloud on AWS. 2 years ago, our team, together with the VMware team, we do a lot of research and development effort, and then come up this new VMware Cloud on AWS services, jointly together with VMware. And the good thing here is you are able to use the VMware software-defined data center to run the vSphere, vSAN, and NSX with the vCenter on premises exactly the same and move to the AWS. And after you do this kind of integration, what is the good situation here? You will not lose any capability on the AWS cloud, because some of the people, when they think of, oh, if I want to do cloud adoption, when I want to run the stuff on AWS, I want to be native. I want to use CC2, I want to use EBS, I want to use the AI machine learning, I want to use IoT, for example. Then if I'm using the VMware, yes, that is a good thing, because I'm using one single interface to manage the infrastructure on both sides. But at the same time, with that, I will limit my innovation capability that I cannot use the advanced services. The answer is no, because as you see from the architecture, once you set up the VMware Cloud on AWS, you are able to leverage the Elastic Network Interface, the ENI, which is a network interface, and then inside the VPC in the VMware Cloud, you are able to access any other advanced services on Amazon Web Services. So this solution is a perfect solution for those of you wanted to maintain the capability, want to use one single interface to manage the infrastructure on both sides. But at the same time, you want to innovate faster by making use of the advanced services provided by us. So this is another option for the government customer to consider the hybrid architecture. And you can see that we are able to resolve a lot of common challenge with this option. First of all, multiple virtual machine format, because if you're running something on premises, you may running the VMware with the VMDK. But then when you run on AWS, you may running on EC2, which is another types of virtualization format. Even though we have the capability to help you to do the conversion, some people may not like that. But with the VMware Cloud solution, because everything is actually native, and the VMware Cloud is actually using our bare metal offering, and the whole stuff is still running inside VMware, then you are able to solve this kind of multiple virtual machine formats. And you may also have the networking problem, operation inconsistency, and skill set problem, and multiple control and monitoring mechanism, just because of we providing use one single management tool and manage the infrastructure on both sides, then all these challenges can be resolved. So again, VMware Cloud on AWS is actually a software-defined data center services technology that you know and you're familiar with, and then you are able to quickly move your application and workloads to the AWS. Now, let's move on to talk about the third scenario, which is even more interesting. I want the benefit of using the cloud services, but I want that inside my data center. I want to launch a EC2 instance inside my data center with this hybrid architecture. This sounds like a really crazy idea, right? We have a lot of capability on our platform. EC2, EBS, AI machine learning, SageMaker, and S3, and all that. Is it possible to move every single services from Amazon Web Services to my data center? The answer is yes. We have a new services introduced. We will have the preview this year called AWS Outposts. This Outpost services, basically we ship a rack of hardware, which is the same set of hardware that we are running inside our data center, and provide to our customer and put that inside your data center, such a way that you have these few good advantage here. Number one, consistent AWS experience. When you come to our management console, now you are able to launch a EC2 instance inside your data center with those Outpost rack. Then from the infrastructure deployment perspective, you may using the CloudFormation template. You are able to use one single CloudFormation template to launch the services both to AWS in our commercial region in Singapore, for example, and also at the same time inside your data center with the Outpost services. Seamlessly extend the AWS services to your own data center. Again, when we launch the Outpost services, you are able to launch the EC2 and EBS. Subsequently, we will also enable the Outpost to allow the customer also running the RDS, SageMaker, S3, etc., etc. Then you can imagine we are actually bringing the AWS capability into your own data center. Thirdly, that is a fully managed and updated services as part of our region. So what is meant by that? Basically, how you use the services is actually you come to our management console, you place the order, and then we ship the rack to you. And the only thing you need to do is actually plug in the power, plug in the network, then everything will start it. And in your management console, you are able to create a virtual private cloud, VPC, and then create a subnet inside the Outpost. From your perspective, you will realize that you actually have a new availability zones. And that availability zone is actually inside your own data center using the Outpost. And from the application architecture perspective, you are running one single platform inside one single VPC. You are still able to use the application load balancer, for example, to load balance across different AC. Again, that is a build once and deploy anywhere solution. Now, this is a bit technical about the architecture. And you can see that this VPC design is actually everything running in one single AWS region logically. And then you have the availability zone on the left-hand side, which is creating some subnets. But at the same time, you are able to create additional subnet inside the Outpost in your data center. Then from the application architecture perspective, you are able to come up an application architecture to span across your Outpost availability zone, as well as the availability zone inside the AWS region. Of course, some of the government, because of the reason I mentioned earlier, they want all the data inside their own data center. They may choose only deploy the virtual machines using the Outpost rather than using another AC inside our AWS region. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. But like, just give you another example. If you want to deploy an even more sophisticated environment, you are able to deploy the virtual machines across multiple availability zones. And one of the availability zones is actually the Outpost inside your data center. So again, when we launch the AWS services to Outpost later, we will have the compute storage, we will have the secure networking, we will have the RDS, we also have the container. A lot of people like to use the ECS or EKS. You are also able to do that. You want to do the data processing, Elastic MapReduce, for example. You may also want to do the file system processing, or you want to do the machine learning with the SageMaker. So let me summarize what kind of hybrid options you can have if you are the government customer. And because of whatever reason, the governance, policy, security, or whatever, if you want to set up the hybrid architecture, what kind of option you can have together with Amazon Web Services. So first of all, data center extension. You need the storage gateway, VPC, direct connect, etc., etc. But if you are interested using the VMware to manage your infrastructure, you are able to use the VMware Cloud on AWS. But if you want to use the cloud services, the AWS services inside your data center, you can use the Outposts to do so. I haven't covered some other options here, for example, Snowball Edge or the IoT Greengrass Core, which is some edge devices also provide the compute capability to our customer. But normally, when people select the hybrid architecture option, they would use the data center extension, VMware Cloud, or the cloud services on premises to do that. Again, before I summarize what I want to present today, let me give you another thought on the hybrid architecture. So you have two data centers. One is your own data center. Another one is the data center provided by Amazon Web Services. You link them up together, make the decision which types of workloads you want to run on each individual data center. This is not the end of the story, because majority of the things I mentioned here is very, very focused on the infrastructure as a services, the virtual machine, etc., etc. What I would like to remind you is that no matter you are using the Outpost, using the VMware, or using the standard hybrid architecture, we actually provide you a lot of advanced services. The hybrid architecture focus on the infrastructure will help you to extend your data center to the AWS cloud, but at the same time, you are able to immediately to enjoy the advanced services. Again, for example, the IoT, the AI, machine learning, big data, mobile services. This is something even more important. The hybrid architecture is only your first step. After you establish the architecture, you need to think of more sophisticated, innovative architecture design in your application to further enjoy the benefits provided by Amazon Web Services. That is all the things I would like to share with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julian. Please remember to submit your feedback on this session in the app to redeem a free AWS branded swag at the info counter. If you're interested in having a copy of the slides, please tap your badge on the content devices at the exit. Tea break is now being served at the Partners and Solutions Expo just outside this room. The next session in this room is Cybersecurity, a drive force behind cloud adoption, and it will begin promptly at 3:30 p.m. Thank you.